Want to turn your passion for drawing into a full-time career? Discover our courses at Brushcamp where you become a master in the realm of digital painting. Brushcamp offers tons of similar courses in illustration, 2D, 3D design. Level up your creativity with free knowledge and courses. Visit brushcamp.com today and explore endless possibilities.
Welcome back to the second lesson of sketching course. We'll start lesson 2. The content of lesson 1 is thinking. We will practice in lesson 2. Just some basic drawing methods. First, we will start with training our arm muscles to become more flexible and how to use your hands properly. By different lines. Let's analyze it first. The arm can be divided into 3 parts when drawing. And each part has a different role, so that we can apply it to drawing lines smoother and smoother. Open Photoshop. You can open Photoshop or take a paper with a pen with enough pointed tip. Don't be too thick, it will smudge if you press hard. The requirement of this exercise will focus on your lines. It must be good enough. So you choose a pencil or pen with enough pointed tip. And here is the interface of Photoshop. Your interface may be different, but in general the tool will be the same. First, we open a file, click File, select New. Choose the size that you like. We have length X width here. You fill the number and press Create. Then you will have a new page similar to the one I'm opening. You should draw in 4K quality. I'm also at 4000 quality. You can draw in this quality. We have a page like this. It is white. You have a white page. You will ease the eyes by making this background page grayer. You can open many different skins on the palette. Open the color palette and choose it. Add a gray area. Press Alt+Delete. Then it will fill this entire page with the color you selected. We have a page with gray color. It will look softer. It's good for your eyes when working for a long time. Create new layer. To draw. Why should we create new layer? We have many layers on this side. When we open Photoshop, there is only one layer, background. When you want to create another class, please click the button below this. Or you can press Ctrl+Shift+N. You press 3 combinations at a time, it will appear like this. It is a layer. You can name the layer here. It will create a new layer here. You can change its name by clicking 2 times here. I named it Line. Create new layer. I will help you understand the concept of layer. Those are overlapping faces. You choose a different color. And color like this. This layer is on the background, so it will be shown above the background when we create another layer. And color another color. This color only belongs to that layer, layer 24. When you hold the mouse, drag it down. It will be under the layer line in the correct position. In this layer column. Shrink this bar a little bit. You will understand that this layer, the position of a layer, whether it's above or below, will affect how the drawings on each layer are displayed on the screen. And why is layer important? The many layers you create, the easier way you draw. Instead of drawing like this, These two colors overlap each other, and when you want to color this blue, or erase it, when we get mistake, it's hard to edit. And if you create many layers, you can remove this blue color without affecting the black color. Even drawing more, it doesn't affect the black color, and easily to move. The concept of layer is very important, and you have to create many layers when working. When you work long enough and have a lot of experience, we will have many measures to manage layers better. It helps us draw an easier way, and not confusing many layers with each other. That's the concept of layer. I delete these layers, then create new layer. I name it layer line. We can right-click on this, choose a display color. Then it can mark. You can understand it like a notebook, a note paper. I choose orange color. It color here. You will recognize this layer faster based on color discrimination. I create a line layer. Let's start practicing the contours. Remember to choose a color that different from background's color. Press the right mouse button. Press B. Or click on this symbol. Usually this board is on the left side, but I drag it to the right. But in general the order is not different. You click on this icon or press the shortcut key. Then it will show a tool called Brush. Right-click to show more tools. We are only interested in the most popular tool, the Brush tool. You press the right mouse button. We will have a set of brushes. Each person will usually have a different set of brushes. But if you haven't studied anywhere or just use a basic brush set, it will have a few round brushes. And you will see some brushes like this. We will use brush like this to practice line, or you can use another brush. I can provide you some special brushes. This pencil may be included in your folder. We choose this pencil brush attached. Please download it. How to save this pencil in the computer. That is, you download it on the folder. Then press B. Press the right mouse button, click the cog icon. Press Import Brushes. Find the file that you have just downloaded. Click Load. Then it will always be at the bottom. Drag it into Group 1. Is the group that Photoshop has made available for us. It is always here. You can name some brushes that you like. Choose that brush. And we have two selections here. The pencil has already locked this hardness. We just can change the size. This size you drag here, it can show the brush size you are using. Or you can add it here. I usually press the right mouse button. On some Waccoms, the mouse of your pen will have a button. You can try clicking to see if it creates this table. Then it opened this board easily. Then we have the size. You can change the hardness in some brushes. I use brush number 19. It's available on your file. Then it has hardness. When hardness is at a higher ratio, the hardness of the brush will be greater. I'll try. You can see that it's very hard. So what is hard brush? This means that the border becomes sharp. And why does it have a circular symbol like this? The algorithm of Photoshop is simple. A brush textured by many consecutive circles. Then the thickness of this closed circle is called spacing. and the higher the spacing, the closer the images are to each other. And it will be smoother. We can change it by pressing F5. When press F5, this table will appear. You will see this spacing table here. The lower the spacing, the smaller the distance between the circles, which means we will have a smoother line. I'll try. Do you see the difference? The closer the number of circles is, the smoother your strokes will be. And your edit won't be saved. For example, if I choose a different brush and go back to the old one, it will still make the same mistake. You have to make adjustments here, or you can create a new brush based on these tweaks. We have a lot of tweaking here. In this file we mainly just use this basic brush. I won't show you how to create a new brush as you like. You'll handle it yourself. I will guide you more in the illustration course about how to draw and create your own brush. That's the concept of brush and how to use. And remember, the lower this spacing is, the heavier the computer is. And weak laptops and some large pictures will cause lag. You have to leave it at a sufficient threshold, about 18 to 24%. And if your device is powerful, 10% will be good. Even 8%. It will be smoother. It's so smooth, you can see the effect. How to delete this entire page to restart. Press Ctrl+A. We will make a selection of the entire canvas. Press delete. It will all disappear, then we restart. We will move to the knowledge section after you have a rough grasp of some basic tools in drawing. I'll show you more knowledge. We must first understand that our hands are composed of 3 main parts. I'm not talking about biology or anything, just art major. We have 3 main divisions. Some of you want to pull out some tools, we can go to the window. There are many tools here. You press Window, then press Color. Choose another color. I describe it for you to understand easily. Choose a basic brush, hard brush. The concept of a hard brush is that it is not soft at the ends. It's completely hard. It is very sharp. No matter how you adjust it, its sharpness is still high enough. Just a little blurred. As for the soft brush like the 1930 brush, it's very soft. Then in the process of drawing, we will mainly use hard brushes. We have 3 main parts. It's the wrist part, arm part. I will use a different color to describe the arm. One more part is the shoulder part. Biceps. Why do we divide into 3 like this? Because it will be important to your line drawing. This wrist part, you only use it when going for small details. Like this. I'll draw a school bag. It will work flexibly on the wrist area, which means this area is a very flexible area of the hand, and it allows you to move in small places very quickly. It's easily to move. You can be tired when work for a long time with this part. Just imagine a block like this. We can flexibly draw with this wrist. But you guys use some lines like this. Then you can't use your wrist, it will be very painful and vibrate. Because the amplitude and the diameter you draw it is very short. When you press your wrists down on the table, the diameter you draw is not much. Your drawings will be shaken like this when you want to draw a long line. You can see many long lines in everywhere when drawing a bed, pillar, or something. You can see many long lines in everywhere. We can apply it, but you can't draw with your wrist. It won't be straight. So which part are we going to use? Use hand to draw small details. The wrist is the main axis of rotation, and with bigger details, the lines are longer. Then we will use the arm, and the moving part is the whole arm. You hold the pen and the moving part is the elbow. If you are holding a pen, open your computer and try it. We'll keep our hands like that and just move our elbows. The lines will be better. You can try it. This is how you can draw bigger things like trees. When drawing each detail, changing to the wrist part. Pay attention to the line flow. It means your line rhythm. It has to be smooth. You have to practice so that your hands are flexible, draw a line or anything. Because hand-drawn strokes are always the best in illustrations. You have a lot of tools to create straight lines. I will guide you more detail later. We have many tools to create straight lines, but handmade lines always feel better. More artistic. It will always create a more artistic feeling. And when do we use shoulders? That's when we draw longer lines. You can see. We move our shoulders. Don't use elbows. We will apply to this part. We can draw big circles. We draw the horizon or mountains. It will be smoother than using elbows. You should only use elbows in this range. Then the rhythm for your line will be better. This is your homework. Practice types of lines. And I should avoid the mistakes that most of the starters make. That is the fault of the dashed line. Lines are overlapping. And try to draw so that there are no more mistakes. The difference between people who can draw and people who can't is that their sketches are messed up. Many starters will see it. You can see the dashed lines make you uncomfortable. The way to fix it. The first is that we practice drawing lines like as much as possible. We will choose one start point and one end point. Connect two points together. Draw two points and connect them. Avoid this case. Even on paper or Wacom. Avoid this case. You have to connect two points together. Make it smooth like this, with only one line. You can connect wrong place like this. Remember that the flow of the line is more important than whether you reach the second point or not. The important thing is that your lines must be smooth, with soft flow. Don't do this. And this. Do not draw big places, dark places, light places. Try to connect a point continuously. We choose any two points. Even if you draw with your iPad. Ctrl+Z2 and do typing. Make two points like this and connect them. We always put two points because we will draw lines with more purpose. It will be more applicable. For example, we draw a shirt. Like that. We draw with our wrists. We will get used to creating long straight lines on purpose. Actually, we already have a certain position in our heads. Our line will stop like the previous exercise. But we already draw it in our heads, not draw it out. We don't need to draw it out. There are some cases where you draw on an iPad or on paper. If you draw a point it will be dirty. When we practice two points joining together like this, we already have in mind where the line stops. Once you've done that well, it's easy to draw lines like this. We have a shirt. Relax your hands and draw smooth lines like this. This is the line I want. This is just a sketch. And to make it perfect, we have to reduce opacity and draw the details on the sketch. Your first homework is to draw a big page like this. You just put any two points and connect them together. Connect in different directions. Various directions, don't just draw horizontal lines. And remember that the flow of the line is more important than the accuracy of the point. Let's try so that our strokes are not broken. No bends, no tripping anywhere. Avoid these cases. And don't be shaken. We will draw curves. This is an exercise for the elbows. Press and hold the Z key to zoom in on the screen. It will show a zoom tool. You press the Z key, it will zoom in and out. You can adjust it at the top, but it won't be as fast. You draw a line like that. This part you can draw with elbows and shoulders. Make it smooth. Don't draw like that. But this exercise has a special one like this. That is, you will draw a lot of curves. Doesn't have to be exactly like the line above, but it must not touch each other. Do this exercise. It must be smooth. The thicker you draw, the better. I can understand how you practice. Do not let the lines touch each other. The more lines, the better. It's an exercise on practicing line drawing. The more you practice, the more flexible your hands become. The more beneficial it will be for you. This part 2. I believe that when you are more flexible, the following exercises will be easier for you to pass. It's the theory of lines and the rules of drawing. Next, we will move on to the basic perspectives. In real life and how to apply it to drawing. We go back to part 2 of lesson 2, its perspective. Let's talk about the one-point perspective first. Perspective is very common out there. You can see a lot of one-point perspective. I'll open an example of a one-point perspective. This one-point perspective applies in many cases. So what is the one-point perspective? First of all, we have to understand perspective in the simplest way. It is a method to make objects have 3D space. Does that mean it has depth, has a place in space? It has coordinates. That is perspective. In a one-point perspective, lines like this converge to one point, called vanishing point, called the vanishing point. Then all these lines refer to. We will stick to this line to draw objects. And we also stipulate in this one-point perspective the things that are in front of our eyes. It will always lie parallel or perpendicular with the border of the picture. You may notice its repetition. You can see this sofa has parallel lines. This cabinet is also perpendicular, parallel to the border on both sides. The lines converge to one point called vanishing point, and the orthogonal point is always parallel. This window too. That's one of the features of the one-point perspective. It's a prime example of Da Vinci's research. You may know this pic, it's very popular. It's about a single point perspective. And the painting's name is The Last Supper. I'm not a Christian, but this is a very good example of a one-point perspective. The way Da Vinci drew. You can see that these lines are all pointing towards the same point. The points are all towards the center. Even the line below. You see, it's also heading towards the center. Even these roads are all towards the center. In a one-point or two-point perspective, or even the three-point perspective, has a definition of the horizon. So what is the horizon? The horizon line is the line on which the scene points lie. We will have the horizon in the picture here. I will use another color. We can determine the horizon easily. When we connect the points, it converts to one point, and the horizon is the line passing through that point, passing by like this. It's the same in this picture. It's called horizon. The most correct point will be on the horizon, and it all boils down to that point on the horizon. That's called one-point perspective. Let's see how the one-point perspective appears. It's out there, and how popular is it? Also an example of a one-point perspective. As you see, we can see them all pointing in the same direction. To this location. And this is also the horizon by default. I'm sure it's right here. Lines that are opposite our eyes will always be perpendicular or parallel with the border of the picture. We can see that the line of this window, it is always parallel to this vertical border. To create height for the object, we always draw it straight down. Since this is a one-point perspective, we will lose the vanishing point at the bottom, so it won't have suction anymore but will always be parallel. One-point perspective sketching. That everything will always be parallel like this. You should remember this one-point perspective knowledge is formulated from real-life picture, not 100% real life. 100% in real life, the perspective grid system is very complicated, and there is almost no formula to apply. Or it becomes simple. We simplify it that some of these one-point perspectives are based on photography and analysis. And in the wild, about 80% of it will look like this. 100% is not true. You cannot conclude it is 100%. You can see the horizontal plane of the building will also be a horizontal line like this, parallel to the above scene. Anything that makes an object horizontal, it will all be parallel to this top edge. As for the height of the object, it will be parallel to the vertical edge. Width, horizontal, and height. You can determine the width of this plane. That is parallel to this upper plane. And the height is parallel to the vertical edge. Next, you will find out the horizon. Connecting the points will determine the horizon line. When you connect the points, you will see it converge to one place. Continue the formula to create horizontal level. For this background, the artist drew horizontally. And to give height to this step, the artist drew along. Perpendicular. Perpendicular to this horizontal plane, or parallel to these vertical edges. It is a formula for drawing one-point perspective. And what cases is it applicable to? We will apply it to a scene with an inward depth like this. You all see the common point of this one point. It is very attractive. Or in this example, this one-point perspective has the advantage of creating infinite depth. Smoke until it disappears. The one-point perspective can be applied to many drawing formulas. We can apply it to the street, in the house, in the roads. It could be rails or anything. Then it's just a one-point perspective. We can draw from the bottom up, from top to bottom, from the top down, or even from the bottom up like this. Then all of it gathers one point here, but it creates an endless depth effect. Shows that this building is very tall. This line is always parallel or perpendicular to the border of the picture. It's very attractive. Its application is like that. Your homework will also apply this principle. To find these 𝗁𝗶𝗃𝗃 style drawings, we have to find it. You find 5 pictures. 5 pictures of 1 point. Put it in Photoshop. Export to one file. Click File, click Save. If you haven't saved anything yet, click Save. If not, click Save As. You choose Save As type. Choose JPEG. As it will convert to image format. You can name the image, then click Save. It will produce an image. You find 5 pictures. About the picture on the outside with an angle of 1 point. Of any artist. You submit it with a JPEG image. The way to save myself was just a while ago. And we will also practice drawing the box in this 1 point perspective. It's simple. I will show you how to draw. You must be able to draw to memorize it. Don't skip anything. In this exercise, first we will create a horizon line. The horizon will always come first. Create a new layer. The horizon is a separate layer. Create a new layer again. You choose 1 point so we can choose it as the convergence point. This is the convergence point. We will draw a block in this space. We will create one more layer. Name this layer as the box layer. You should take the time to choose the color to distinguish the classes. Let your tutor see what you're doing. You can also draw your own. You can hold Shift and the line will be straight. You press the key to open the eraser tool. Right-click it and it will open a table like the B key brush. But on the contrary, it works to delete it. You choose for yourself a hard brush. In the machine you all have it. You choose a hard brush to erase. Delete the remainder. You will draw the thickness of this box. All lines that give depth to the box are directed towards this point. So you guys will draw a straight line here. You can use the P key. Or this tool. If you are using the wrong tool, right-click and select Pen tool again. Pen tool, guys. You choose the starting point. Click once. The ending point is here. Is our gathering point. You continue to press B to select the brush, right-click. This size is no longer a pen, but I will make the thickness for this line. You can choose size 18 like this. Press Enter. Then immediately the line you just created will automatically fill a color line of size 18 px. This B key is very important. I will do it again. We choose P. Choose Start and End points. And press B. Then press Enter. You can choose another color. We press Enter and it will create another line. We press Delete to delete the path that you are defaulting. We repeat that process. Press P. Choose Start and End points. It's okay to start or end in any position, as long as it's in the correct position. Press B. Press Enter. We already have the section of the box. The box cannot be infinitely long. We must have an endpoint for the depth of the box. Where can we locate it? This line should be a line parallel to the edge. Then we start having a box drawn in a one-point perspective. The homework of single-point perspective is that you draw a horizon, choose a single point of convergence. You can choose the middle too. When you're done, you will draw many boxes like this for yourself. Let's disorderly, don't overlap. Square or whatever. Then you give yourself its depth and space. And you put it back together. You can connect by hand, but it is best to connect using a tool. Like just now, It will be a little better. Because some lines are very difficult. And remember to make a cut point for it. We will see the thickness of the box. We can have 2 consecutive points in a row. We click B. This time we reduce the brush size just enough. About 12 px. Press enter. You can see the line is thinner, because I adjusted the line size. Continue. And the depth line will be parallel. Create a width that will be parallel to the top face. The depth will be parallel to the right face. Then we will start to see these lifeless squares. When placed in one-point perspective, will have depth. Much deeper. Your exercise is to draw a lot of boxes like this. I ask you to draw on the page 16 to 9. It's 10 cells. 1 point. You draw again, save the JPEG image. Our exercises are in part 1, it's line training. We will have 2 pictures. It's seam training and curve training. Exercise 1 of the perspective exercise is to find a picture of a point. And exercise 2 is to draw the box. The structure of this exercise will be repeated in the next 2 perspectives, in 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective. That means you will find a picture of 2-point, and redraw the cube in a 2-point perspective. And exercise 3 is to find a 3-point perspective, and draw a cube in 3-point perspective.
Please like and subscribe to our channel.